What is up everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to take a look at the Pagani Zonda F Primary Edition. So in order to get this vehicle, all you guys will have to do is basically buy the Motor Pass, and you will get this car instantly upon getting the Motor Pass. So I do think a lot of people are going to like this Motor Pass because every vehicle in this one so far is going to be pretty awesome, including this Corvette CAR, which by the way guys, stay tuned for these other Motor Pass vehicles coming in the near future. But now moving back to the Paganis here, so this is going to be the primary edition. I also really wonder where the names of these cars are coming from because I instantly thought of this being the secondary edition. But nonetheless, I'm very happy to see the Paganis finally getting some love on the Crew 2. And I'm sure a lot of people have been noticing you just do not see these all around that much. I barely see anybody actually use like the Pagani Huayra and or the regular Zonda F. Then we're also going to have the Rubicon, I believe that's how that's pronounced, is probably going to be like the most forgotten Summit vehicle in the Crew 2. I really never see anybody in this car, but I have noticed one thing about the Paganis. That's going to be the fact, guys, that I notice a lot of these have insanely good handling. But one thing I did notice as well is they're going to have a lower top speed, so that's probably going to hurt it on the bigger events. Unless you guys do tend to do many cuts on like the bigger races and stuff, but I did notice the lower top speed on these cars might hurt them slightly, especially if you're racing against a 300 Super Sport. But one thing I did notice about the Zonda F Primary Edition is going to be the way this car handles. So when moving over to an outside look of the Primary Edition, I'm sure the first thing you guys are probably going to notice is the colors going around the car. I do think it looks kind of cool, but that's obviously going to be like the main part of this vehicle. Plus that wing on the back honestly looks pretty insane as well, but overall I do think this thing is definitely looking pretty cool. It's also going to be like a matte black color as well. Plus I think those rims are actually Crew 2 rims in the game as well that are just kind of customized. So overall the car is definitely going to be pretty unique, and it's also going to sound amazing. Now, surprisingly, when looking at the interior, I did notice you guys will see those weird colors going around like the AC vents there, but that's basically going to be it besides the entire car being carbon fiber. I actually think it's kind of cool they did at least do something with the interior, but it's probably not going to be anything insane because this is not like a Summit Edition vehicle. And now moving over to the top speed test on the Zonda F Primary Edition, so let's see what this car can actually get to. Now one thing I was noticing about something like the Rubicon from that one Summit, I noticed the top speed on that vehicle was like 296 miles per hour, but even with that lower top speed I did notice how the handling of that thing was honestly insane. And from the short period of time I have been driving the Zonda F Primary Edition, I would actually say the handling of this vehicle is probably going to be similar to that one. So right now guys, a full top speed test, you're looking at 289 to 292 miles per hour. I did notice depending on the road the car was only getting to like 289, so this thing is definitely going to be on the slower side compared to many of the other hypercars. It's kind of insane to think about that we really haven't seen that many new Paganis in the Crew 2 in quite a while. At least when it comes to the hypercar category, I feel like these cars kind of fell off a little bit. Now, I'm not saying they're falling off in real life because Pagani is honestly incredible, but I would honestly like to see these cars get some more love on the game here. So the primary edition is basically going to be another edition of the Zonda F. I know that's probably not that shocking, but overall I feel like a lot of people might actually try to use this car because it does seem to be pretty dang good. I really do love the handling and stability of this vehicle, at least compared to many of the other hypercars. I did notice on the Crew 2 that many of the hypercars tend to not have the best stability overall when actually racing them, especially the Bugattis. I noticed at higher speeds going over like the littlest bump or something that the car basically turns into a fidget spinner, and I feel like a lot of people are not going to be liking that too much. But one thing I can definitely say very positively about the Paganis in general is these cars really don't seem to have any issues with their handling. They actually grip the ground very well. and I honestly was wondering how the primary was actually going to do, given that many of the Paganis in the hypercar class are honestly not used all that much. For example, guys, with the Rubicon, I don't actually remember the last time I saw somebody drive that car. Like, it's been that long. I know the car came out a very long time ago as well, so I really don't know if they're ever going to bring that car back. Let me know if you guys would like to see that Pagani being added back in once again. I feel like a lot of players might actually run that vehicle because I know it came out a very long time ago, so a lot of people probably don't even realize what car that actually is. And after using the primary edition doing around 290 miles per hour, this thing is definitely going to feel a tad slower than some of the other hypercars. Now, one thing I did notice though, with having a nitrochemist set on this vehicle, it does seem to hit 290 pretty dang fast, but unfortunately you're still going to be like 20 to 30 miles per hour slower than many of the Bugattis and also some of the other hypercars like the 918 Silvery Edition. That car is going to hit around 313 miles per hour, so it's going to be a bit quicker than the Zonda F. And if you guys were doing some of those longer events or something, I would say you're probably going to notice a bit of a difference, but even then I wouldn't say the Zonda F is going to be terrible because I do think this car has a lot of potential. I noticed the handling and stability make this thing insanely fun to go around corners with, and even though the overall top speed is going to be a tad slower, I really don't think it's going to hurt it. I might actually try this car out in future summits to really see what it can do. I did notice some of the other hypercars doing around 295 miles per hour, so it's really not going to be insanely slow compared to those, but it's going to be outclassed slightly by some of the high-end Bugattis and or some of the hypercars, but even with that I would still say the Zonda F is still going to be a pretty dang good vehicle. Overall, I would definitely recommend trying out the Zonda F Primary Edition because I do think this car is actually pretty awesome. It does have some nice customization on it. Do keep in mind though guys, you can't actually customize it because it's going to be considered like a special edition, but I do want to know your thoughts on this car in the comments below, and here are the settings I'm currently running on this vehicle.